that aware that the general election on the 9th of August and the tallying process went smoothly, and this is until prior the announcement of the results of the presidential election, where 4 commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and the commissioners are namely Juliana Wahonge Cherera, Irene Masait and Justice Nyagaya, as well as Francis Wanderi, denounced the verification and tallying of the processes conducted by the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and observing that their actions were deliberate. The senator will be seeking to have them sort of answer some of the concerns in regards to that. The Deputy Speaker of the Senate is in the chambers. I now hand over so we could follow up on the live proceedings. Enjoy your viewing and good afternoon.
We beseech you to be beyond with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under the deliberation in so just and faithful manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those in whose interests we have committed to our church. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Lead of majority party.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate. Today, 12th October 2022, reports of the Auditor General for the year ended 30th June 2021 on the financial statements for 1. Trans Nzoia County Executive, Trans Nzoia County Assembly, Trans Nzoia County Nawiri Fund, Trans Nzoia County Assembly Members Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Trans Nzoia County Public Service Board, County Executive of Meru, County Assembly of Meru, County Assembly of Meru Staff Car Loan and Housing Scheme Fund, Meru Youth Service Board, Meru County Executive Staff Housing Fund, County Executive of Embu, County Assembly of Embu, Embu County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Kieni Water and Sewerage Company Limited, Tharaka Nithi County Executive, Tharaka Nithi County Assembly, Tharaka Nithi County Emergency Fund, Tharaka Nithi County Bursary Development Fund, Nithi Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Isiolo County Executive, Isiolo County Assembly, Isiolo County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Isiolo County Education Bursary Fund, Isiolo Water and Sewerage Company, Marsabit County Executive, Marsabit County Assembly, Marsabit County Emergency Fund, County Government of Marsabit Car Loan Fund, Marsabit County Executive Mortgage Scheme Fund, Marsabit County Education Fund, Kakamega County Executive, Kakamega County Trade Loans Fund, Kakamega County Farm Inputs Fund, Kakamega County Microfinance Corporation, and Kakamega County Maternal Child Health and Family Planning Fund. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Next owner.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, this is a very important communication. Honorable Senators. Okay. Now that I'm seated, I think you are not seeing my honors. Honorable Senators, in consultation with both the majority and the minority sides, I'm reorganizing the order of business as follows. We are deferring order number 8. I hope you are on your order paper. Order number 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So we'll proceed with the order number 9. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, approval of the Senate calendar for the first session of the 13th Parliament.
Lead of the majority party, order number 9, kindly.
Make a point of order. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise that pursuant to Standing Order number 32-1, the Senate approves its calendar for regular sessions for the first session of the 13th Parliament, September to December 2022. That's the first session, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 5th of October 2022. Just for purpose of reference for members to confirm, those who have a hard copy of the order paper, it's the last item. on your tablets, I think if you go to the reference materials. But I can refer back to, those are the digital ones, the young ones. The likes of Senator Okongo Mogeni, we will process hard copy papers for you. Yeah, I know you struggle with technology. But the data as follows, Mr. Speaker. You are aware that we first sat on the 8th of September 2022. That's the day we were sworn in. Then we proceeded on recess on the 9th September up to the 28th of September 2022. Then we came back on the 29th, and we shall be sitting up to the 27th of October, every Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, and Thursday afternoon. You remember, Mr. Speaker, that's the ruling and the decision of this plenary on what our sitting times are. Previously, we used to sit on Wednesdays in the morning and even on Thursdays. But then it was found that I think there was one very cold July, and they were told that it's not very good to bring Senator Okongo Mogeni and his age mates very early into this chamber. So we decided to take it to afternoon session only. I see we have a much younger Senate, and we may generate a lot of business. If we get to that particular point, Mr. Speaker, then I'll be requesting the House that we vary the timetable so that we have morning sessions and sit, depending on how much work the committees will generate, if there will be sufficient business. Because the danger, Mr. Speaker, as has been observed, is that you call for a morning sitting and you find yourself with very few members here. So as we begin, Mr. Speaker, I'd wish that members, especially through their committees, once they are formed, you generate sufficient business, and if there will be justifiable reason, we will consult as a leadership from the minority and majority side, and we'll agree on what additional time we can meet. We can either agree to do the morning session, or like our colleagues in the National Assembly, we move it beyond 6:30 on certain days, and we will agree. So we will sit up to the 27th of October, then we'll proceed on the 28th of October to the 7th of November. This is a season through which we want to take senators through the second phase of induction. You know, Mr. Speaker, when we went for our first induction in Naivasha, there were many strange things that were being said. And you could see my friend Sifuna following through, nodding, but he didn't understand what exactly was being said. I'm sure now that you have sat in the House for about 2 to 3 weeks, you have many questions. There are things that you wish we could do, you think we will do better if we change certain aspects. So the SPC is proposing a second induction session for senators from the 28th up to the 7th. We'll agree on the dates and the venue and the rest of the details, so that members, after having sat here for about 1 month, I'm sure there are many things that you'll want to question and say, we propose. We know traditionally, one of the things that I struggled with as a new member in this House is this thing called traditions, that you are told, oh no, you can't do that because these are the traditions of the House, blah, blah. I'm sure with a much vibrant and a more younger Senate than it was back then, there'll be a few adjustments, and there are things that we can agree and choose to do them differently, Mr. Speaker. So that's part of what we shall be doing, of course, together with other things that we didn't cover during the first phase of induction, between the 28th of October up to the 7th of November. Then we shall resume, Mr. Speaker, on the 8th of November, all the way to 1st of December, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the afternoon. And we shall then proceed for the usual long recess that covers December through to January, and be back here in February, Mr. Speaker. That period is important. Of course, you know, Mr. Speaker, that this coincides with a period where members are usually very busy, not necessarily in the chamber, but outside in the field. Those of us that are sportsmen, and many of you are, I have seen them want to participate in the East African Legislative Assembly Games. The tentative timetable that I have seen takes the games towards the end of November. And this time I think the games are being held in South Sudan. It's a turn of South Sudan to host. So I know there are quite a number of senators who would wish to participate. We will still take a decision at that particular time. Of course, the notice that I want to give early, Mr. Speaker, is that and you know, Mr. Speaker, we have benefit this time that you are not only our Speaker, but you have been a very reliable team manager for Bunge Football Club. And you know that we have latecomers. You find somebody like Senator Cherargei, just who shows up 2 days to the date of travel. And because they want to travel, they say that I used to play number 9. You know, those are not the kind of things that we expect. Or you find people like Senator Kinyua, who all over, out of the blues, because they've heard that there's a trip to Arusha, and there is other business that they want to do there, Mr. Speaker. They introduce a funny game and say, Mr. Speaker, I play darts. I want to go and play darts in, you know, we want to
Kinyua, what is out of order? You know, you are so interested
Mr. Speaker.
Other businesses that you go to do in the
Mr. Speaker.
Yara games.
This house knows very well I am a good footballer. I play golf, Mr. Speaker. And both games are in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, when the majority leader says there's other things that I go to do to Arusha, can he substantiate which are the other things I go to do, apart from golf and football?
Oh, I think he meant that you play football.
No, actually, Mr.
Apart from golf, so you go play football.
What he did, Mr. Speaker, because he did not make it. Remember, he did not make it to be part of your team members. He did not make it the first 25. You know, Yala Games. First of all, there is an organizing committee which ratifies the games that are played. Now, when you come 2 days to the days of a game and you say, I'm a very good darts player, please include darts in the competition. Those are the other things that I was saying we don't expect from our members, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I was just by way of mention that during that period, I expect that many of our colleagues will take time to team up. I don't mind being informed.
It's interesting to be informed, because, then I think it's okay. Because you are going to football player Bunge FC.
You know, in his lucid moments, Senator Faki is very wise. So I don't mind listening once in a while.
Yes, Senator Faki, moment.
Mr. Speaker, the majority leader is a member of our Bunge FC team, and we play very well together. And you know that, Mr. Speaker. Maybe he had forgotten that Senator Kinyua went to deepen and widen the cooperation in Arusha.
Yeah, I forgot that he's a member actually of a speaker's panel at that time, and he was very keen on deepening and widening. So on that particular note, he scores very well. Mr. Speaker, just in concluding, that's a proposed timetable for this particular session. Mr. Speaker, you have mentioned earlier that we've had consultations between the majority and the minority side on some of the items that are on the order paper, and therefore, for that reason, we will stand them down. So we'll proceed to do this motion, and should there be any other business that will arise before the rise of the House, Mr. Speaker, we will have a discussion about it. But I'd wish members to note and urge members to participate. You know, it's not a good picture, Mr. Speaker, that while you're still new in the House, you find people that either come in late or leave early. You know, it's always good to refer back to statistics. When we had 2022 general elections, there were more than 10,000 candidates who wanted to be members of this August House. Only 67 of us made it here, and 349 in the National Assembly. When you have an opportunity to legislate, represent your people, oversight, it's always good to be present in the House. Make your conversation, let all discussions that are going on across the country, there is no better platform than the House of Parliament. So I find it strange, Mr. Speaker, and perhaps this is part of what we intend to cover also during the second round of training and induction for members, is presence in the House is very important. Come to House on time, be here by 2:30, observe things, get to learn participate in all matters that are brought before the floor of the House, and that is what makes a successful legislator, Mr. Speaker. I don't know about the experience of the rest of my colleagues, but when you are campaigning this last election, Mr. Speaker, there are things that you hear your constituents tell you. And I know from experience that part of what the things that people used to say when you give them the mic, after the round of introduction, they say, okay, Mheshimiwa, there's something we want to tell you. I don't recall any single meeting where I didn't find somebody who said, Mr. Senator, one of the things I'm very proud about is that when I see you on the floor, I feel represented. This is a vote that people have given you the chance and the opportunity to come to this House and speak on behalf of all Omogusi. It is you, Senator Onyonka, that they have said, please speak on our behalf. Therefore, it's a great honor which I want to request colleague senators that carry it with serious dedication and honor. Be present in the House 2:30 up to 6:30, or even sometimes when duty calls like it did yesterday, we sat here up to 9 p.m. to transact business, the better. So be it. So that's my request as we move, Mr. Speaker, to adopt this calendar of the House, that colleague senators will find it in their hearts and find a sense of duty to always be present in this House, follow through deliberations, and speak to the matters of the things that matter to the people that voted for them here. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the leader of minority, the good senator of Kilifi, to second this particular motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Leader of the minority party, Senator Mazayo Stewart.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, cha kwanza nataka kuunga mkono yote aliyosema ndugu yangu Aaron Cheriot kuhusikana na mjadala huu. Bwana Spika, kitu cha kwanza ambacho ni muhimu ni kwamba mjadala huu ni muhimu kwa sababu unaweza kuweka ratiba ya vile ambavyo tutaweza kufanya mambo yetu, majadiliano ndani ya bunge hili la Senate kwa muda fulani ambao umewekwa kulingana na ratiba yetu. Bwana Spika, tunaweza kuona ya kwamba waliokuja hivi sasa katika bunge la Senate wengi ni vijana na pia wamechanganyika na wazee kidogo. Litakuwa sio lile bunge walikuwa wakisema wakati ule tulipoingia wakati wa 2013 kusema kwamba hili ni bunge la wazee, kwa sababu naona vijana chipukizi wameingia hapa kama maseneta kutoka kaunti mbalimbali katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Bwana Spika, cha muhimu ni kuona kwamba ile ratiba ambayo imewekwa katika kalenda yetu imetimia na imekabiliwa kisawasawa na watu wameweza kufanya kazi zao wanazoweza. Bwana Spika, katika hili bunge kuna cheche nyingi sana hutokea, lakini kama tunavyojua ni kwamba bunge hili kikamilifu ni kwamba watu wakiwa wanajadiliana hujadiliana kwa njia ya heshima, na pia vile vile sio kama kutupiana maji ama kuambiana maneno machafu. Bwana Spika, sisi ni watu tumestarabika hapa, na natumaini japokuwa tuko na vijana wataweza kuona kwamba kwa upande wa wazee wanaweza kuona kwamba Senate inaweza kufanya biashara, inaweza kufanya kazi zake kinamna gani. Bwana Spika, vile vile kuna kama alivyosema ndugu yangu Cheriot, pengine ningeweza kujazilia kidogo ya kwamba kuna nafasi nyingi za wale ambao wamekuja hivi sasa kwa mara ya kwanza ndani ya Senate. Katika hili bunge huwa na mambo mengi, si mpira peke yake, bali kuna watu wanaokimbia wakiwa wanaweza kukimbia mbio. Kwa dada zetu kuna hilo wanaita mpira wa mkono ama netball. Kwa wale wengine ambao wanafanya pengine kama ni wako na nguvu, wana misuli. Unajua Bwana Spika, kuna wengine hapa ukiangalia pande hii ama pande hii hakuna sana, lakini pande hii naona kuna watu wako na misuli wanafanya ile mambo ya kuvuta kamba. Kwa hiyo michezo ni mingi. Tunasema kwamba afya ya maseneta pia ni muhimu. Kila asubuhi ama jioni, wakati wote, kuna mahali ambapo mnaweza kwenda kufanya exercise ama kufanya mazoezi ili kuweka akili na miili yetu katika hali ya afya. Vile vile masafari yako, safari zitakuwa nyingi. Nakumbuka Bwana Spika, mimi nimeenda safari na ndugu yangu Kinywa. Bila aliposema ndugu yangu Aaron Cheriot hayuko mbali na kupatia kwamba yuko sawa sawa, ya kwamba huwa mtu wa mambo mengi, lakini yale anashughulikia yeye anaelewa vizuri. Mimi nilimshindikiza tu pande zingine. Bwana Spika, katika kuchanganya misuli, vile vile siwezi kujua kama sisi tumejitayarisha kivipi katika michezo. Manake katika hii michezo ambayo itakuwa katika Iyala, pia ni michezo hii ambayo nimetangulia kusema, hii ya mbalimbali. Kwa hiyo tutatakikana tuwe na wakina dada wetu. Nikiangalia wa madada zetu walioko hapa, pengine wanaweza kufungwa magoli mengi sana. Manake sioni yule ambaye anaonekana ni mkakamavu sana, isipokuwa huyu Keroche, pengine kidogo anaweza kujaribu. Bwana Spika, kwa hiyo hizi ndio mbinu mbalimbali ambazo sisi tutaweza kufanya katika muhula huu kuanzia sasa mpaka Disemba.
Samahani Seneta Mazayo, kuna hoja ya nidhamu hapa kutoka kwa Seneta Medhu. Seneta wa Nyandarua, naona umebonyeza hii intervention. Alafu ifuato na ya Seneta Nderitu Kinywa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I will not attempt to speak in the language of the Senator for Kilifi. And as the good leader of majority said that myself and the new senators are familiarizing ourselves with the rules and the procedures of this House. I have been reading the Speaker's rules, conduct of senators within the precincts of Parliament, and I'm referring to number 5. Senators are required not to enter the chamber, lounge, or dining room without being properly dressed. This means that a male senator shall be dressed in a coat, collar, tie, long trousers, socks, and shoes, or service uniform. Religious attire or such other decent dressing as may be approved by the Speaker from time to time. An equivalent standard shall apply in respect to women senators who may also wear kitenge or such other African attire. I've been looking at my good brother, the decorated senator for Kisii, and although I'm told that there has been a ruling that has been done many years in the past, we are now living in the present. I would wish to get your guidance on what rules we are referring to. I understand, and I'm very happy that traditional wear is allowed in this Senate.
Senator Onyonka, just have your seat, relax, don't mind.
And please protect me, Mr. Speaker. The guilty are always afraid. I'm seeing my good brother getting a little agitated. But whatever it is, whether it is traditional or whatever it is, I'm not sure it is appearing in the Speaker's rules. And I would also want your guidance, because the people of Nyadara have their own traditional wear. And I would wish that we get a standard, whether I will come with a boshori and it will be around here, because that is what we put on at Nyandarua, because it is a very good county. So that is why I'm rising. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Senator Onyonka, member for Kisii. No, let us first of all finish up with this issue. No, proceed, Senator Onyonka, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, because the Speaker is the paramount leader in this House. I would like to tell my brother from Yanaro that unfortunately my button was not tied, but if you look at me, I look quite handsomely presented for this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, sure. You are properly dressed, Senator Onyonka. You are okay. But always remember to zip up, to button up. Senator Kinyua.
Mr. Speaker, it is true, but he always needed to button his collar button. I had picked that one. But Mr. Speaker, I still need your ruling because when I look on my right, I can see Honorable Senator Karungo Wathang'wa. He's in UDA attire. If he's still, but I know he is the one who delivered many votes, more than 540. But I'm still wondering why, Mr. Speaker, I want your guidance whether he's properly dressed. That's what I want. And when Senator Stewart Mazai was speaking, he did refer to Senator for Nakuru as Kiroche. It's always. I thought she's Senator Kiroche. That's what I meant. Honorable members, I've been speaker's panel. I listen and listen properly. For Senator for Narok, you are properly dressed. Thank you.
No. Yes, Senator Chalagay Samson.
Is very clear. I needed guidance because we had raised that issue similarly, and Senator Ledama should be comfortable because I'm not raising the issue of Rungu today. Mr. Speaker, when you look at my brother Karungo Wathang'wa, Senator of Kiambu, we needed guidance on that type of the coat that he has worn. We appreciate that he has worn a shirt and a tie, but he's wearing an half coat, which we famously used during the campaign period. I know there is hangover, but we needed guidelines. But Mr. Speaker, since most of us are new, I hope you will be lenient, but let us be properly guided so that we come here when we are dressed and we transact serious business that comes with it, Mr. Speaker. And also, Mr. Speaker, I did raise an issue last time, especially
about
when
dressing.
About dressing.
Yes.
Just, I'm concluding, Mr. Speaker, about how ladies should dress outside Kitenge. Because when you look at some of the modern dresses that ladies wear, sometimes they confuse us. So we needed guidance apart from the traditional wear. I'm not saying they confuse us in a good way, but I'm not saying, Mr. Speaker, I think Senator Kinyua is interrupting my thought process. We are not being confused. We are beyond the age of confusion, but we misunderstand how the Speaker's rules apply in terms of dressing. So, Mr. Speaker, let's get a substantive ruling on this matter so that we can conclude.
Senator Karungo Wathang'wa, but before you respond, what did you say he is wearing, Senator Samson? What did he say that Senator Karungo is wearing?
I'm not a fashion guru, Mr. Speaker.
What did you say he is wearing? That's my question.
He is wearing a half of a jacket. A half coat, sorry. Mr. Speaker, I'm not a fashion guru.
You pronounce yourself
from I'm a rural senator, as Senator Sifuna would put it. Maybe it's a way people in the city dress like Senator Wathang'wa and Senator Sifuna.
What I'm asking Senator Samson Chalagay,
yes.
What did you say he's wearing specifically?
Half coat, Mr. Speaker, because when you look at the half coat that was replica of what we used to wear during campaign period.
Yes,
but it's not
Senator
a campaign cloth, Mr. Speaker.
Because you mentioned the one coat and the rules, the Speaker's rules here are very clear. about the court. Senator Garungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I don't know what the problem is. Is it the color, because they're talking about UDA? Is it the number of votes I got? 579,000. But as I read your ruling, Mr. Speaker, from I have it here, the Speaker's rule, you say that we are supposed to dress in a coat. I believe this is a coat. You did not say full, half, quarter, or an eighth, Mr. Speaker. So I believe this is a coat. Mr. Speaker, I do have a tie, yes. Long trousers, Senator attire, you can, they're long. And Mr. Speaker, and I do have socks. And finally, if this does not pass, Mr. Speaker, as a coat or anything else, I think this is a religious attire somewhere in India. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Senator Karungo, you know, you are describing what you have worn today, but you are avoiding some of the clothes that you are in. Yeah, you have said you have socks, trousers, and shoes. Senator Karungo, you are properly dressed. Be comfortable to transact the business. You are properly dressed. There is Senator Cheptumo. You are on intervention. Okay. Senator Mazayo, kindly proceed and finish the seconding of the motion.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, mimi pia nilikuwa mmoja wa wale watu ambao wakati mmoja nafikiria ndugu yangu Cherargei ndio aliweza kusimama na kusema kwamba sijavaa vizuri. Nilikuwa nimevaa kama ndugu yangu Onyonka. Na spika aliyekuweko wakati huo aliweza kusema ya kwamba nilikuwa nimevaa vyema. Kitu ambacho siwezi kusema kulingana na ile uamuzi wako uliosema hivi sasa ni kwamba mtu akivaa koti kama namna ile ukasema ni sawa. Mimi naona Bwana Spika siwezi kupinga uamuzi wako, lakini ni hatari kwa sababu saa nyingine watu wengine wanaenda namna ile kwenye madisco club. Bwana Spika, kwa hiyo nikirudi tena katika huu mjadala huu, nasema ya kwamba mjadala huu ni ngao na ni mwelekeo na unaelekeza vile hii nyumba ya Senate itaweza kufanya kazi zake. Kwa hiyo mimi naunga mkono kusema kwamba uko sawa kabisa. Asante Bwana Spika.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 32.1, the Senate approves its current regular sessions for the first session of the 13th Parliament, September to December 2022, the end of the table of the House on Wednesday, 5th October 2022. Before I put the question, I can see we have several senators here who are interested. I start with the Senator Manzo Daniel Kitonga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion. And Mr. Speaker, the calendar is important. It has been put forward by the leader of majority that we will have another training. And Mr. Speaker, I think it is important. Even after being in the National Assembly for 10 years, I still have one or two things to learn, and every day is a day we learn something new. And if we had in that further training, I believe some of the new senators will also get more information, and will avoid then some of these points of orders which take a little bit more of the House time. And I believe we have quite heavy business to transact. I like the interlude because of sports. Mr. Speaker, health is very important for members.
Just a moment. What is your point of order, Senator Chelagay?
Mr. Speaker, I had to interrupt my learned senior, but he's misleading everybody and the public. Standing Order number 98 was not misplaced here. It exists as a right of any member. So misleading yourself and the new members, Mr. Speaker, by saying raising a point of order is wasting Senate's or the Parliament's time is misleading, because these are right unless the Speaker rules that it's either vexatious, frivolous, or it does not hold any water. So Senator Manzo, Mr. Speaker, should be guided according any standing order from number one to the last one, Mr. Speaker, is as important to any standing order that has been provided. And I think the House Business Committee, the Procedure and Rules Committee did not place these standing orders or misplace it, Mr. Speaker. So I think Senator Manzo, Mr. Speaker, should be ruled out of order under that point of order.
Before you resume, Senator Mazayo, what I ruled from this chair is that we should strictly use order number 981, which says that any senator may raise a point of order at any time during the speech of another senator, stating that the senator raises a point of order and that senator shall be required to indicate the standing order upon which the point of order is based. So the honorable senators have the right to raise any point of order. Even if you raise from 2:30 to 6:30, senators will be at their right to raise those points of order, but then you should indicate you are standing on which point of order, which so that we don't also interrupt the business of the House unnecessarily. So proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
for your guidance. Senators who usually raise points of order.
Yes, Senator Guy, a lot of times does not quote what standing order is raising on, or a lot of times it is frivolous, or just to interrupt so that the people of his count can see him. He's my good friend. So I think it is really, he never states the order. Or sometimes states a standing order which is irrelevant.
Okay, Senator Kongo Mugen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know Senator of Makueni, Senator Manzo, is a very experienced parliamentarian. He's serving his third term. And the cardinal rule in this House, Mr. Speaker, is that you should never cast aspersions on another senator. And rarely do I stand to defend the majority side, especially Cherargei. But on this one, Mr. Speaker, is Senator Manzo in order to refer to Senator Cherargei as one who raises frivolous standing order, points of order? Is he in order, Mr. Speaker? I direct that you direct him to withdraw, because this is a house of record. People of Nandi are watching. We don't want them to have the impression that their senator is in the business of raising frivolous points of orders on the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before Senator Manzo responds, let us give this other point of order from Senator Kajwang Moses. Maybe it's the same.
Mr. Speaker, even though Senator Cherargei has referred to Standing Order 98, I also want to draw his attention to Standing Order 121 on disorderly conduct. Yes, every senator has got the right to rise on a point of order, but it is further qualified in Standing Order 121. A senator is disorderly if the senator creates disorder, knowingly raises a false point of order, or unnecessarily interrupts proceedings or consults in a disruptive manner. Mr. Speaker, Senator Cherargei is very guilty of unnecessarily interrupting proceedings. And Mr. Speaker, the House of Commons, from which we draw part of our traditions from, they have amended their standing orders and have done away with frivolous points of order, such that you allow a member who is on the floor to prosecute his case, to make his statement, to argue out his case, and then you wait for your turn to argue out. Mr. Speaker, in as much as we still have Standing Order 98, but we must make sure that it is not an excuse for people to engage in debate, and not an excuse for showmanship, and not an excuse for unnecessary disruption of debate.
Senator Alon Chiriyot, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Senator Kajwang should not close the page on which he was reading. I want him to read further down. Standing Order number 121, subsection 2. On who has the sole mandate and the power to call what disorderly conduct is. I think, I know Senator Kajwang comes from Homa Bay, and he has a habit sometimes of grabbing things that don't belong to him. Don't allow him to grab your powers, Mr. Speaker. It is only you in this House who can declare a senator to be out of order or behaving in a disorderly manner. It's quite unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, if you let him get away with that. Standing Order 121-2 clearly stipulates it's the Speaker who shall make the call on whether a senator is orderly or disorderly. Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang is not the Speaker of this House, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Senator William Cheptumo.
Mr. Speaker, what the majority leader said is what I actually wanted to mention, that even to determine a point of order is frivolous, again, is not in the business of the senator. It is you, Mr. Speaker, to decide. So apart from deciding whether a senator is disorderly, knowingly raises false points of order, and so on, even to determine that a point of order is frivolous, Mr. Speaker, is squarely within your position. And I think, Mr. Speaker, that is why even on matters of dressing alone, you are the one to make the decision. Just a few minutes ago, you were able to direct. So I want to agree with the majority leader that is your preserve, and you should not allow any member to take that position. And I think, Mr. Speaker, you've been guiding the House in the right manner, and I want to agree with the majority leader.
This issue has really attracted a lot of so many points of order. Before I give Senator Manzo either to withdraw or not to withdraw, because that is his right as well, Senator Mazayo, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to point out that I've been in this House with Senator Kajwang, and I have never seen him grabbing or holding anything that does not belong to him. It is a bit unfair for my brother to say that Senator Kajwang is fond of grabbing things that don't belong to him. I think that statement should be withdrawn. It goes on record for the people of Siaya to know that they have a very, very able senator in the House. Mr. Speaker, it's important to clarify that.
This is very interesting. Senator Wambua Enoch.
Mr. Speaker, the senator for Homa Bay is a very respected senator, not just in this House, but outside this House. The Speaker reference is to Senator Kajwang. If you want to make me, if the senators on the right of the Speaker want me to make references about them, I will rise on a point of order and make reference. I'm making reference to Senator Kajwang. The Speaker, Standing Order number 101-3. It shall be out of order to use offensive or insultive language, whether in respect of senators or other persons.
I find the characterization of Senator of Homa Bay as a person who grabs other people's things very offensive. The Speaker, can that be substantiated or withdrawn? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But Senator Kajwang has not complained or refused. He has not denied. Actually, even he is not in any intervention, but now he is now on intervention. Yes, Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, knowing Senator Argon Cheriot very well, and we've been friends and partners in very many things in this House, but none of them has been about grabbing other people's things. I suspect Senator Cheriot is a little bit envious and jealous about my company on this side. Perhaps that is what he referred to. But otherwise, I don't see any reason why Senator Cheriot would accuse me of grabbing anything that does not belong to him. And Senator Cheriot, Senator Ezena does not belong to you. So when she sits next to me, you should be calm, chill out. I don't feel like I've grabbed anything from you.
Senator Manzo, I don't want to comment on your statement, Senator Kajwang. You're in a good company indeed. Senator Manzo, can you withdraw or apologize? Your statement has caused a lot of tension in the House.
Well, the Honorable Cheragai is a personal friend, and I'm his senior in the profession. Well, the use of the word frivolous would have been excessive. I withdraw it, but I think I want to agree with the leader of majority that we need further training. I am very sure out of that further training, he will not keep on, you see those standing orders which the Speaker should actually, according to the standing orders, rule whether they are frivolous or not. And I leave that to the realm of the Speaker because the one who can rule. But the main point was a little bit of training so that even when the debates are hot or we have controversial issues, we still remain guarded and we remain to the point so that, Mr. Speaker, we can be able to handle business. So far, the papers tabled are quite heavy. And may I withdraw to avoid that sort of exchange?
Continue the debate.
I withdrew the word frivolous and apologized to my good friend, Senator Cheragai. But we really want to support the leader of majority on the issue of training and the issue of learning every day. Every day is a learning day. And we want to be more effective in this House. We want to, devolution is a very serious matter, Mr. Speaker. And what this Senate is doing is very, very important to this country if really we are going to develop the country. And while we deal with our oversight role, both primary and secondary, it will serve the country much better when we have full information. There are quite a number of reports have been tabled since we started these sessions, and every day they're really heavy. And even from the order paper, you can see the recording that this House has a lot of work at hand. So I also agree with the issue that, or the fact that at times we will need to sit excess time, excess days, late in the evening, to complete this work for the benefit of the counties and for the benefit of devolution. I believe the Senate is a very serious House, very committed into developing the country, and that's why even getting the senators facilitated in one way or another, including officers. You know, when we are members of the National Assembly, we were able to construct official offices for a member of parliament. One of the things, now the governors have been given official residence and official offices. We don't really want to go to demand much from the country. But I think our Senate official office is very crucial at the headquarters of the county, and in one way or another, it facilitates the senator I would like Cheragai to inform me. Mr. Speaker, I would like Cheragai to inform me.
Senator Chelagai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having been an experienced member of this House, I think the issue of county liaison's office, and I think Senator Dule she's in a better place, is already provided for. So I want to assure Senator Manzo, maybe we can have tete-a-tete of this, then I can guide him, because it is provided under the county liaison and our clerk, and the necessary is already there, and you shall not incur your own cost. But we'll keep improving as we go to the future.
Yes, I think that's very good information. The point I was trying to relate to is an office or a budget provided for to build a senator's office in every county, so that you don't have to rent, so that it is something standard. The way we did the offices for the members of parliament, they are standard. The offices of the governor is standard. And if we have to monitor devolution properly, we need a proper, standard government built office for every senator in the countries. And the land is provided in the Senate headquarters, so that you don't have to rent. County headquarters, my apologies. So that there is an official resident budgeted and built. The moment you don't have a standard, then every senator will be forced to have an outfit which may not truly be befitting. The point I'm trying to make is that, Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious office. This is a very serious house dealing with very serious business, and there should be accorded that provision so that we can be able to serve the country. That's why there is a state house in every country. It was designed by the British, and now we have designed a county governor's office. So why not also have a standard financed senator's office, which will live beyond us and which will be there to serve the people. So, Mr. Speaker, I really think a calendar is important, and I think the job we do is important. The seriousness of this house is reinforced, and we have very serious and experienced legislators here. We have experienced lawyers like my good friend Professor Ojenda and Honorable Faki, who really will guide the House. I've been in the Committee of Delegated Legislation in the House, and I've now been proposed as a member in this House, and I believe we'll be able to work with other members and come up with a proper, legislation on delegation on part of the acts of parliament which exist, so that we can serve the country better. And I believe devolution will be served better by this house. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Honorable Senators, allow me to interrupt the proceedings briefly and make this communication number 13 of 2022. We have visiting teachers and students from the Leadership Academy in Nairobi County in the public gallery. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Leadership Academy in Nairobi County who are on an academic trip. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator for Nairobi County, Senator Sifuna Edwin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity as the Senator of the County of Nairobi to welcome the students from the Leadership Academy. Mr. Speaker, this is why that discussion that was going before, your decision is very critical, that in fact when students like this come to the Senate for a visit, being young and impressionable people, what they experience here today is something that will stay with them forever. So I am a bit disappointed that all they got to experience were points of order. I hope that they can come back another time when there is serious debate that is going on the floor of the House, and when senators, especially Senator Cherargei, who we call the Senator of Aruro County, will not interrupt debate too much. This is a house of debate. Let these young people not live here thinking that all we do is quarrel about standing orders. Let them come here one day and experience a proper debate about education, about health, all the matters that are charged to our conduct. So welcome to the Senate. It's not one of the best days, but I'm sure you will pick something from your experience here. Work hard in school. I hope that some of you, or you're in a leadership academy, so all of you should be aspiring to be leaders. The sky is the limit. There is no obstacle in your path. Do as your teachers say, and I'm sure one of these fine days we'll see some of you in the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Senator Kenywa is also interested to welcome them to the Senate.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kunipa fursa hii. Nataka kuungana na wewe pamoja na Senator wa Nairobi kuwakaribisha wanafunzi na walimu wa shule ya Leadership Academy. Na niwaambia kwamba ndio, na tunawaambia sisi tunatakia mema, na ni vizuri mmekuja mkaona yale mambo ambayo tunayafanya hapa katika Senate. Na sisi ile ambayo tungependa kuambia ni ya kwamba mtie masomo mbele, kwa sababu masomo ndio uti ya mgongo wa maendeleo katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na sisi tunataka kuambia ya kwamba hata japokuwa leo mmekuja mnatupata tukiendelea na shughuli zetu za kujadili, mjadala inaendelea vivyo hivyo. Kuna zile hoja za nidhamu, mambo mengi yanatendeka hapa, na pengine mkija wakati mwingine mtapata tukiwa tumevulia njuga masuala muhimu ambayo tunapaswa kuyaangazia. Lakini siku ya leo tulikuwa tukiangalia hasa mambo ya kalenda yetu, kwa hivyo pengine tujaanza katika ile mijadala ya kusisimua ili tuweze kujadili kwa mapana na marefu. Kwa hivyo mimi niwaambie karibuni na niwatakie mema katika masomo yenu, na niwaambie kwamba Timawingu ndio mahali ambapo nyinyi mtakapofika. Nyinyi mtakuja hapa Senate kwa sababu najua Senate ndio nyumba ambayo inajulikana kwa kujadili miswada ambayo ni muhimu sana katika Jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo nawaambia karibu na nawatakia mema katika siku zenu za usoni. Asante Bwana Spika kunipa fursa hii.
Thank you. Let us have one more member from my left hand side. The last one, Senator Onyonka.
Ndugu Spika, ningependa tena pia mimi kusema kuwa natoa shukrani zangu kwa kunikubalia nizungumze kwa ufupi sana. Wale wanafunzi ambao wamekuja hapa, Kenya ni nchi nzuri kama tunailinda. Vile mnavyokuja hapa, najua mmekuja kuelewa vile tunavijadiliana kama viongozi kwa masuala ambayo ni masuala nyeti, ambayo yanahusika na mambo ama yanahusika na wananchi wa kawaida, ili tujaribu kubadilisha maisha yao. Mimi ningependa kusema kuwa ingawa wengi wenu vile anavyowaona mko wasichana, Kenya ni nchi ambayo kikatiba haki za msichana ama mwanamke sasa ni haki ambazo lazima tuzilinde, na ni haki ambazo zinapatia nafasi kuendelea ili na nyinyi muwe viongozi wa kesho. Ningependa kusema kuwa natoa shukrani zangu kwa walimu wenu ambao wamewaleta hapa, na tena ikiwezekana pengine mtapitia ule upande mwingine wa National Assembly ili pia muone vile wanaendelea kujadiliana ni masuala gani wanaoyazungumzia. Ndugu Spika, asante kwa kunipa hii fursa kuzungumzia haya mambo.
Thank you. Now let's go back to our motion. Senator Mungatana Danson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, this is not a normal procedural motion. This is a motion that speaks to the history of the Constitution and the freedom of the legislature from the executive. Mr. Speaker, it's a motion that we should debate with pride and to remind ourselves where we came from. Mr. Speaker, in those days, and we happen to have been fortunate to serve under the old Constitution, the head of state had the powers to prorogue Parliament. Mr. Speaker, we did not have power to make calendar for ourselves as we are doing today, to determine that we are going to go into recess this time, we are going to debate up to this period of time. Mr. Speaker, we would be in the House debating, and just because State House and the head of state was not happy with the fire that was in the House, by the end of the day you'd hear, we have been sent home. So, Mr. Speaker, this motion of the calendar of this House, we must debate it and emphasize the freedom of this legislative body. And Mr. Speaker, as we stand here, I want to pay tribute to members of the Senate who walked before us and who knew what the freedom and the power of independence of this Senate stands for. Mr. Speaker, some of them, we don't have them here. But you will remember, Mr. Speaker, and those of us who were outside then, watching Senator Malala, Mr. Speaker, being hounded because he didn't want to vote in a certain way. Mr. Speaker, I pay tribute to some of them who have gone to serve in the cabinet. Senator Murkomen, some of them are here, Senator Faki, Senator Madzayo, when they stood and said, even if our counties are gaining, we will vote to make sure that this Senate remains independent. We will come together and resist the removal of power of the money from some of the counties like Tana River County. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to remind this House, Mr. Speaker, that during this session, there will be times that your party will give you instructions. My party will give me instructions. But this Senate, in this session, Mr. Speaker, there will be times that we must close ranks. We will not speak as opposition, we will not speak as government, but we will close ranks and say, let us do the right thing for devolution. Let us protect our counties, those who are gaining and those who are losing. Mr. Speaker, we must remember that during this session, we will work together and independently execute our mandate without fear, without intimidation. So I submit, Mr. Speaker, in support of this calendar. I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Mwinyi Haji.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia hoja ya kalenda ya bunge letu la Senate. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kalenda ambayo iko sawa kabisa na tunaona kwamba itatusaidia kupanga kazi zetu za katika bunge na vile vile za mashinani, kwa sababu mbali na kuhudhuria vikao vya bunge, kuna ofisi za mashinani ambazo pia ni muhimu katika kuendesha kazi zetu na kuangalia kwamba mambo yote yako sawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona pia yale mapumziko ambayo yamekusudiwa yatatoa fursa kwa maseneta kuendelea kusoma, kwa sababu katika bunge hili hakuna mwisho wa kusoma. Utasoma mpaka ile siku bunge litakapofungwa kwenda kwenye uchaguzi mwingine kijaliwa mwaka 2027. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimeona upande wa walio wengi wachache mara nyingi wakitatizika na vifaa vya kisasa ambavyo viko katika bunge hili, na nafikiri hiyo mapumziko yatatoa fursa wende wakasome tena ili waone kwamba wameweza kuwasawa katika mambo ya mtandao na vile vile wameweza kutoa michango yao kiutaalamu kama vile ambavyo imekusudiwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimefurahi ndugu yangu Senator Tana River anaposema kwamba lazima bunge hili liweze kuwa huru na liweze kufanya mambo kwa maslahi ya Wakenya, na ningeomba upande walio wengi wachache waanze kwa kukubali kwamba wanachama wa kamati ambao umependekezwa wawe na nafasi ya kuweza kutoa
Senator Kenywa,
wenyekiti
Senator Mohamed Faki. Senator Kenywa, what is out of order?
Bwana Spika, ninakanganywa kwa sababu sielewi Senator wa kutoka Pwani Faki kutoka pale Mombasa anaposema upande walio wengi wachache. Hakuna sisi ni wengi na ni wengi. Sielewi kwa nini anasema wengi wachache, Bwana Spika.
The one from Senator Onyonka.
Mr. Speaker, vile anavyomaanisha kulingana na vile naelewa kwa sababu ni Kiswahili anaongea, haongei lugha nyingine. Anasema ya kwamba ijapokuwa kikatiba sisi ndio wengi, sijui kwa nini anamaanisha tena sisi ni wachache kwa idadi. Sijui ni kwa nini. Kwa hiyo Bwana Speaker, tungependa eleze kwa nini anakanganya.
Senator Richard Onyonka, is your point of order related to
Ndugu Spika, mimi sikuwa naliongelea jambo la hoja ya nidhamu ambayo mheshimiwa alikuwa ameileta. Haja yangu ilikuwa nilitaka kuchangia vile ndugu yangu Mgatana alikuwa amezungumza.
Kwa hivyo ningeomba basi usibonyeshe intervention upande wa kushoto.
Sawa, unajua
kaa pamoja tu.
Asante ndugu Spika, nimekuwa kwa lile juma lingine sasa naja nimeanza kujifunza. Asante.
Proceed. Senator Faki.
Mheshimiwa Spika, sidhani kama hoja ya nidhamu iliyoulizwa na Senator wa Laikipia
lazima ueleweke
ina ukosefu wote wa nidhamu. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimesema upande walio wengi wachache kwa sababu inajulikana wazi kwamba chama cha Mheshimiwa Roba na wenzake bado wako katika azimio. Kwa hivyo ni swala ambalo liko huru, liko wazi na hatuwezi kuninio. Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikimalizia nikiendelea kuchangia Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Faki, ninaomba ueleweke vizuri unachozungumza. Ndio hii answered uweze
Mheshimiwa Spika, ni wazi nilivyoeleza ni kwamba
unachanganya answered ielewe vile unamaanisha.
Sijaweza kuchanganya answered Mheshimiwa Spika. Nimejieleza kwamba upande walio wengi wachache. Yaani kikatiba ni kwamba upande huu wa kwetu ndio tuko na wengi sisi Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini kwa sababu
okay.
Mheshimiwa Spika, Seneta wa Mombasa yeye anakanganya hii bunge kwa sababu anasema walio wengi wachache, ili hali Mheshimiwa Spika tayari ulikuwa umetoa mwelekezo wakati wa uchaguzi na ukasema wazi kuwa sisi ndio walio wengi katika bunge. Kwa hivyo naomba Mheshimiwa Spika aliondoe hiyo matamshi kwenye answer.
Tumsikize Senator Roba Hari Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I raised on a point of order. Senator Faki has misled the House on an issue that has already been determined and reinforced by the Speaker of National Assembly also in the other House. And that issue we had discussed and we put it to rest as to where the other senators from UDM belong to. And as such, I believe Senator Faki has kept on making reference as an indication of maybe feeling very bad where I'm seated. But it's important, Senator, we just move on and accept and stop making references that are not, practical as at now. That issue has been put to rest, and I would wish to make this request as the party leader of UDM and a member of this House to be clearly understood, so that we don't make further references in relation to the same in the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cheptumo William.
Mr. Speaker, I think we are undermining the authority of the Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is a trend that we need not to allow. Mr. Speaker, when you talk of majority, minority, what is that, Mr. Speaker? How can one side become minority, a majority, and minority at the same time? And Mr. Speaker, I think, and of course I respect my colleague, but I think, Mr. Speaker, we need to realize that matters which have already been decided by the House, we should not do things in a manner that we undermine the authority of the Speaker's decisions and rulings. And Mr. Speaker, I think you need to guide the House. Even as we proceed, it is important for us to utilize our time in a manner that's going to benefit us, without, of course, undermining the rights of my colleague to say what he wants to say. But there are things, Mr. Speaker, which in my view is really not tenable. Like when you say majority, minority, it's really out of order. And I think, Mr. Speaker, he needs to withdraw that.
Senator Chalke, last point of order on this matter, and make proceeding.
Mr. Speaker, in the reading of Article 108 of the Constitution of Kenya, and when you look at Senate Standing Order number 22, it is crystal clear that it is designated either you are in the majority and a minority. You cannot be a political hermaphrodite. That is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Senator Faki, who I have highest regard, being my member when I was the chair JLAC, and we went through these motions together, and he's also my learned senior, Mr. Speaker, is my senior, I agree, but there are things that I'm senior in some things. Mr. Speaker, when you look at Standing Order number 22, and I would have expected Senator Sifuna to assist him, or my good lecturer, Senator Professor Tom Ojienda, to be giving him senior counsel guidance on what the law says and what the standing order says. Number one, so is out of order. Number two, Mr. Speaker, so that I conclude, is that Senate Standing Order number 1, and even the ruling, and it is the tradition and precedent of this House, that the matter that the Speaker has ruled on, it's just like a court judgment, Mr. Speaker, that sometimes you disagree, but you have to agree with it. But it does not mean you revisit, because it's opening. I am aware, as Azimio, One Kenya lands, I have moved to court. So they can prosecute their matters in a court of law or in Bunge la Mwananchi. But here we follow precedents, traditions that have been set by the House under Standing Order number 22 and under Article 108, 2010 of the Constitution of Kenya, if we have to move forward. I think, Mr. Speaker, rule him out of order, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mohamed Faki, I think you should really be outright on this issue. Let us not attract a lot of points of order and unnecessary gesturing this House. So can you just be specific on either you are referring to majority or minority? You cannot use the two terms simultaneously.
Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza ningependa kupata mwongozo kama bunge hili limeweza kutoa uamuzi kuhusiana na swala hilo, kwa sababu nimekaa katika vikao vyote vya bunge hili kutoka vianze, sikusikia hata siku moja Spika ametoa uamuzi kuhusiana na swala hilo.
Kabisa haijawahi kuwa na tashwishi yoyote upande upi wa wengi na walio wachache. Ile swala ilikuwa mambo ya Senate Business Committee. Na kwa hivyo unaleta, ukitaka basi kuenda hiyo safari, basi ulete mjadala kamili.
Mheshimiwa Spika, hilo si swala la mjadala. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama Spika alitoa uamuzi,
this is not a matter which is
unaweza kusoma, unaweza kuletwa hapa kesho tukasoma.
So Senator Faki, kindly just be very objective on your debate.
Mheshimiwa Spika, kama hangependa kuitwa wale wengi wachache, ningependa kuondoa swala hilo. Nimekubali, nimeondoa swala hilo.
Endelea.
Haya, asante. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kusema kwamba wazo alilotoa Mheshimiwa Mungatana kwamba bunge hili lipate fursa ya kujadili mambo kulingana na maslahi ya wananchi na maslahi ya Kenya kwa jumla, ningependa wangeanza wao kwa kuhakikisha kwamba uchaguzi wa wenye viti wa kamati zote ambazo ziko katika bunge hili umegawanya sawa kwa sawa, kwa sababu
okay, Chende, what is your point of order? And okay, Chigecheru.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. This is just a point of information that actually to inform you on this matter as well as Faki is important that you and Faki are informed.
Who are you informing? Senator Faki?
Faki. Yeah, I think that Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I feel harassed. There is...
Yeah.
Faki, do you want to be informed?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Faki wants to be informed.
But I want to correct you. Senator Okech, kindly refer to honorable senators appropriately.
Senator Faki. Senator Faki, sorry about that, Mr. Speaker. He's a buddy of mine. He has really helped me too. But I am much obliged to refer to him as senator. On this issue of majority or minority, I think this House should stand guided.
But that matter has been settled. We withdrew about that matter, we dispensed it off. We are not going back to that issue again, which has already withdrawn.
But Mr. Speaker, this issue will keep on emerging. And you have guided, Mr. Speaker, that Senator Faki should bring it as a substantive matter.
No, he withdrew his statement.
Okay.
Senator Mohammed, proceed and wind up. Kindly check also in his time, because all these point of orders are maybe
eating into my time.
Eating into his time. And I think your time is up.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, kuna taa tatu pale ambazo zinatuongoza kuhusiana na mambo ya saa, na sijaona hata moja ikiwashwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, ningependa uniruhusu nimalize maelezo yangu. Mheshimiwa Speaker, Mheshimiwa Mungatana ameleta swala nyeti sana kwamba bunge hili liweze kusimama na haki na usawa, na nafikiri itaanza wakati upande wa wale ambao wako wengi watakubali kwamba nguvu zetu ziko karibu sawa. Kwa hivyo kamati zigawanywe 15 kwa kamati 7 kwao, kamati 8 kwetu, ili Mheshimiwa Spika sote tuweze kufanya kazi pamoja, kwa sababu anavyofikiria Mungatana Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba sisi kama bunge la Senate lazima tufanye kazi kama kwa maslahi ya bunge la Senate, si maslahi ya mtu mwingine kule. Nakumbuka bunge liliondoka, walikuja hapa wakapigiwa kura, kamati zote wakachukua, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo tunaomba kwamba kwa kuanza mwanzo mpya, Mheshimiwa Spika, katika bunge hili tungependa kwamba wale ambao...
Senator Mohamed Faki, ungependa kufahamishwa chochote na Senator Kenywa? Basi endelea malizia.
Mheshimiwa Spika, Senator Kinyua tulikuwa chuo kikuu mwaka mmoja, kwa hivyo hana cha kunifahamisha. Kwa hiyo kwa kumalizia ni kwa swala hili Mheshimiwa Spika la kamati ni swala muhimu sana. Kwa hivyo ningeomba kiongozi wa wengi Mheshimiwa Cheriot na kiongozi wa chache Mheshimiwa Mazayo wakae chini waamue zile kamati ambazo zitaongozwa na upande wa huku na zile kamati ambazo zitaongozwa kwa upande wa kule. Mambo ya nusu mkate, mambo ya mkate, hiyo mtaangalia baadaye katika chama cha UDA. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana. Honorable Senators, there is a matter that I want us to dispense off with it. I have a communication on substantiation of facts that the Senate arranges to be true. Honorable Senators, as you may recall, on Wednesday, 5th October 2022, during the debate on the presidential address on the opening of the 13th Parliament, nominated Senator Veronica Maina rose on a point of order pursuant to Standing Order 105 regarding remarks by the Senator for Vihiga County, Senator Godfrey Ososi, while contributing on the motion. Senator Veronica Maina sought the intervention of the chair to require Senator Godfrey Ososi to withdraw a statement which, in our opinion, falls within the application of Standing Order 105. Senator Maina stated, and I quote, I rise under Standing Order number 105 to respond to Senator Ososi in respect of his reference to the loss of Kenya shillings 2 billion per day. Senator Maina went on to quote the provisions of Standing Order 105. Senator Maina added, and I quote again, I want to bring it to your attention that the statement that has been drawn to the floor of this House has no relevance, absolutely, to the current speech of the President and must be withdrawn. The Senator further alleged that Senator Ososi and referred to some persons as corrupt, which was inappropriate and therefore required to be withdrawn. Honorable Senators, Senator Veronica Maina was simply put asking Senator Godfrey Ososi to substantiate the statement that he had made. Honorable Senators, Standing Order 105 provides, and I quote, a senator shall be responsible for the accuracy of any facts that the senator alleges to be true and may be required to substantiate any such facts instantly. If a senator has sufficient reason to convince the Speaker that the senator is unable to substantiate the allegations instantly, the Speaker shall require that such senator substantiates the allegations not later than the next sitting day, failure to which the senator shall be deemed to be disorderly within the meaning of Standing Order 121, disorderly conduct. Unless the senator withdraws the allegations and gives a suitable apology if the Speaker so requires. I have reviewed the answer report of the proceedings of Wednesday, 5th October 2022, and I have ascertained that indeed the Senator for Vihiga County, Senator Godfrey Ososi, made the following remarks, and I quote, in their rallies and the meetings, they do not talk about corruption because they are beneficiaries of corruption. We are expecting the President to tell us one way of ensuring that this country has money to fight corruption. This is because we were told that this country is losing 2 billion Kenya shillings a day. In a year, it is about Kenya shillings 700 billion. This is enough money to inject into the economy and improve it. That is the end of statement in the answer. A reading from the answer infers that it is these remarks that necessitate the point of order raised by nominated Senator Veronica Maina. Honorable Senators, let me take this opportunity to urge Senators to acquaint themselves with the rules of procedure to enhance orderly conduct of proceedings and optimum utilization of the time of the House. Pursuant to Standing Order 105, I now invite the Senator for Vihiga County to substantiate the allegations or withdraw and apologize. Failure to comply with the directions of the chair constitutes gross disorderly conduct pursuant to Standing Order 122. I thank you. Senator Ososi, Senator for Vihiga County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have heard you. I also had an opportunity to look at the Hansard, and clearly the two issues that were raised was on my comment on the issue of 2 billion, where I said we were told. We all remember the former President Uhuru Kenyatta alluded to that, and
Majority Leader. Proceed.
I also said beneficiaries of corruption. I did not say that the other side is corrupt. But all the same, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 1052, I was prepared to substantiate my allegation on Thursday last week, because the Standing Orders clearly says not
And the last sentence. I have asked you that pursuant to Standing Order 105, I've invited you to substantiate the allegations.
Seasons has caused ravaging drought and hunger in arid lands, regions of Kenya. This has resulted in an estimated 3.5 million experiencing insecurity and in urgent need of humanitarian assistance. A fifth consecutive poor rainy seasons could prove disastrous, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, the household food security continues in deteriorate with 942 children aged between 6 and 95 months, pregnant and lactating mothers, acutely malnourished and in need of treatment. Livestock deaths driven by drought have been reported in most parts of ASAL counties. The general increase in most consumer goods continues to weaken the purchasing power of most consumer goods, worsening the food security situation. Call to action in response to climate change. To mitigate its effect, there is need to invest in policies that reassure our commitment to climate action. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you are aware, the drought has really affected our areas, especially in Tana River County, my constituency, Garsen. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are doing a water tracking, which is very expensive. The source of water is 160 kilometers away. The area like Odoganda location, Mr. Speaker, sir, the lion and hyenas nearly feed on our mothers because they are struggling, they are fighting over water, Mr. Speaker, sir, the scarcity of water. Also, Mr. Speaker, sir, the school-going children, the the boarding school, Asa boarding school, Mr. Speaker, is facing closure because there is no water, there is no food, Mr. Speaker, sir. Also, there is a human-wildlife conflict, Mr. Speaker. The wildlife have moved to the scarce water source of a water source. The scarce water source, Mr. Speaker, which is a well being dug by hand, Mr. Speaker, sir. So we need urgent intervention. Deaths of livestock have been reported. Human deaths have been reported because of hunger and thirst, Mr. Speaker. What I'm requesting, Mr. Speaker, is to this House to approve for the urgent intervention by the government, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this situation to be handled. Mr. Speaker, you know there is policies of the government to do mega dams in those affected areas, Mr. Speaker. Once the mega dam is being done, we will have a long-lasting solution for these areas. I beg to move the motion, Mr. Speaker. I want my good brother, former CS, Mr. Mwangi Kinjuri, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kinjuri, Alex has a discretion to give you your 5 minutes and the balance of these 5 minutes for you to talk for 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very important motion. And before I make my contribution, I really want to thank the people of Laikipia for electing me for the 4th time. They elected me for 15 consecutive years, 3 terms uninterrupted. And now they have also given me another opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate you for also being elected to the seat of the Speaker and your deputy. I know that this House is in safe hands. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that we have a record since 90s being in this House. We have enough experience. I also have the opportunity to have served as minister in the previous government, and also to serve at the having Department of Special Programs under my ministry. And therefore, this is an area that I am knowledgeable in it. And Mr. Speaker, it is one of the areas that need to be taken seriously by this House. And I hope that is not going to end by us discussing this motion today. Mr. Speaker, the issue of drought is not only affecting this country, it is a worldwide phenomenon. Mr. Speaker, climate change is real and has really affected the lives of many people in the world. High cost of living being experienced everywhere, not only because of the crude prices, Mr. Speaker. You can see the cost of the essential commodities very high. Very few families can now be able to feed their families. The cost of food very high. People have no money, and a lot of our youth are jobless. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we debate today, it is important to note that climate change is real. If we are able to observe the drought cycle in this country, you look at what was happening in the 70s and the 80s. Drought used to occur between 8 and 10 years. In the 80s, late 80s and 90s, the cycle changed from 8 to 10 years, and it was between 4 and 5 years. What is happening today is that the cycle has now come down to 2 to 3 years. It is really worrying. There are a number of interventions that have been put into place. However, we don't have any particular policy that have been highlighted that can be able to be carried in unison to ensure that at least we can predict on what to do this year or next year. Measures taken for example, Mr. Speaker, we have policy documents that are in place, like aiding drought emergency strategy. This strategy was meant, Mr. Speaker, and is already in place to ensure that key development activities supposed to be undertaken, both short-term and long-term, are in place. Mr. Speaker, we have the ASO policy program also in place and being revised today. We have also National Disaster Risk Management Bill and policy already at cabinet level. We don't know when it will be able to land in this house. We have resilience program framework, not finalized and signed, and it indicates clearly key activities that are supposed to be implemented to build resilience. Mr. Speaker, there are priorities that must be taken into place. For example, when there is drought, the issue of peace and security is threatened. We have cattle rusters coming into place, leading each other, a lot of deaths being caused, and this is what is happening in this country today, a lot of insecurity. Insecurity not only in terms of human to human, but also human-wildlife conflict in those areas that we border our forests, ranchers, and we are really being threatened. Even the little that we could have harvested during harvest periods is harvested by wild animals, elephants, manes, all over the country. And therefore, this is an issue that requires to be put into place, prioritization on how we tackle drought to ensure that we have security in this country. Education and opportunities for our youth is also very important because, again, those young people, and especially those coming from our ASO counties, do not have the opportunity to get proper education. And therefore, affirmative action must be put into place to ensure, for example, if there are schools, we must have low-cost boarding primary schools to ensure that kids are kept in school. And also institutions that are there strengthened, and strengthening in terms also on how to deal with issues to deal with the drought situation in the country. We have, Mr. Speaker, issues to do with women empowerment are also very important, and also the issue to do with institutional strengthening. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to issues of institutional strengthening, again, there must be clarification of roles that are carried out and responsibilities between the national government and the county governments. We are to ensure that there is a borderline. When should the national government intervene, and when should the county government be able to intervene? And this, Mr. Speaker, must be very clear, because today, if you leave this activity to the county governments, which are supposed to be the front line, which are supposed to be able to take their responsibility seriously, most of them cannot be able to rise to the occasion. Mr. Speaker, there is also the issue of enhanced governance and accountability. Right now, distribution of relief food is ongoing to those counties that have been privileged so far, because most of us, our counties have not yet been able to receive any relief food. But again, how do we account not only for the funds, but also distribution of relief food? Monitoring and evaluation, not only in terms of relief distribution, but in any other government department. This is one of the departments that must be strengthened in this country. Why would you wait, Mr. Speaker, year in, year out, for the Auditor General to come and pinpoint the issues in the ministries? What happened 5-10 years ago? Because at the end of the day, the report of from the Auditor General Office will land in this house 3 or 5 years when the issues happened. It is important that we strengthen monitoring and evaluation, make sure that those departments are strengthened so that we can be able to cure any ill any time that starts occurring. There is also policies that needs to be harmonized, Mr. Speaker, and finalized. You can see that we have so many of these policies that are running. If we can be able to harmonize them, know which one comes into place when, then, Mr. Speaker, we shall be able to say that this country is moving in the right direction. Mr. Speaker, some of the programs that have been set into place are through a drought emergency strategy. They had prioritized on areas, priorities, which dams should be built where should we do water harvesting, which measures should be taken to ensure that the farming communities and the pastoralist communities are living in harmony to support each other. All these strategies are in place. But Mr. Speaker, instead of us looking at what is very important, we have put our priorities upside down. We have the big four agenda, Mr. Speaker. If today we are able to address the question agriculture in this country, which can be able to support other activities, because, Mr. Speaker, when a country is well fed, you know health is not curative, but preventive. And, Mr. Speaker, if we can put enough funds, and I'm happy that the President addressed himself to this issue that's going to support agriculture. And when you speak of agriculture, Mr. Speaker, it is not only about seed, it's about fishing, it's about livestock. All this is encompassed there. Mr. Speaker, lastly, is that the issue of emergency food is so important. People are dying, Mr. Speaker, almost dying. You go to schools, our people are fainting in classroom, enrollment has gone down, and therefore we are calling upon the government to issue food and immediately to our schools, whereby we shall be able to support our people to be able to go through education system. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to support.
Thank you. To second.
To second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the House do not adjourn. We have plenty of time. Each member will speak. So if you hold your horses, it shouldn't be unnecessary conversing. Each one of you will have time. Farah Yaqub Fafi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Indeed, I'm humbled that you gave me this chance. At very least, I thought my card is not working. I've been here for the last 5 days, from the start of a session to the end, believing that maybe there's something wrong with my card, my numbers, and our senior brothers who have been here have not shown us the tricks so that we can move upwards in the queued system. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will have been the first to congratulate you, but I'll give you a fermented congratulations, as they say in our family. I'll tell you I'm saying congratulations for you being elected. I want to thank and bow to my people, the Fafians, a special bow to Hangolites for delivering this seat, giving me the mandate to represent them, the power to legislate, the mantle to oversight in this house. I say thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's also an honor that the subject of the matter, when I'm given the chance to talk, is a matter of dear importance to me and my people. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fafi constituency in Garissa town is the largest constituency in Garissa. It's a constituency which has 45-kilometer stretch of river, Tana, 50-kilometer of borderline to Somalia. It's a constituency with people of great generosity in that they harbored, welcomed, host Somali refugees to the number of 200,000 and above. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we speak drought, every household in a ward called Fafi Ward, the host community in that area, host a number of around 5 to 10 individuals who are influx, who are refugee influx, famine influx from southern parts of Somalia Gede region. These numbers to about 65,000 people. They have not been registered, they have not been catered for, and they are burdened to a family whose main problem today is bringing a source of bread in their table. Mr. Speaker, sir, drought has been an issue which has been there in this constituency since the time of independence. It comes, it goes. Now hitting us hard in that this is the 5th system without rain in that area. The funny part of it is 2 kilometers from the river in that constituency, if you live 2 kilometers from the river in that constituency, inwards, you'll find no water. The farthest point from the river to the borderline in my constituency is 200 kilometers. If something is done, money is poured, funds is given, I believe water could have been pumped from River Tana to the farthest point in my constituency. And today I could not have been here saying there's lack of water in my area. Government has been doing a lot of interventions, but of little importance. It was important, but of little. Rain harvesting have been the main interventions the government used to do. As we speak, there are over 200 water pans done in that constituency. I can see the light is on. But the issue of drought in our area is culminated by lack of water in that area. It's because of lack of water in that area that the schools today, 28 primary schools in my area are closed or almost to be closed because of lack of water. It's because of lack of water in that area that there's insecurity because of conflicts in the little water pans which are there, which has water today. This is an area which used to have Arawale Reserve. But because of lack of water and drought, today, the hunter's heartbeat, Herola, a wild rare species, which was 10,000 in numbers in 1980, today the numbers are less than 200 or 100. Mr. Speaker, sir, I second the motion. I support the proposal to adjournment. I know this is a dear, important subject to our area, and I want a great government intervention in that area, and government will enhance sectors.
Member for Laikipia West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to talk on this motion. First, I'll join the other people members in congratulating you for being elected the Speaker of this National Assembly. The second thing is that I would like to thank the people of Laikipia West for seeing it fit to vote for me as their member of parliament. This is not the first time they have voted for me. In 2013, the people, good people of Laikipia West voted for me. Again, I was a member of parliament. Then in 2017, they gave me a break for 5 years. I had time to reflect, and then they voted me back in this general election. I want to thank them. I want to assure them that I will perform my duties as they expect of me. I'm now more energized, and I will do whatever the promises that I made during the campaigns. Madam Speaker, on the motion at hand in our county, in Laikipia County, we are also experiencing the same problem, though it's not as severe as it is in the northeastern. We have some plenty of crop, but we are also having problems, like my counterpart, the member for Laikipia East, Honorable Mwangi Kinjuri, has said. We are having problems with the conflict between the livestock, the conflict between the wild animals and the people because of their crops. I want this government to address that situation because the crop we are having is retro, and if it can be conserved, it can help in other regions that do not have any. Second thing that I would want to address, Madam Speaker, is that usually I find a very difficult cycle in our place. Whenever we start planting, the prices of seeds, fertilizers go up. But when it comes to harvesting time, like now we are preparing to harvest for starting this month to the next month, add-on, the prices of the produce, farm produce, goes down. So we are asking this government, which we are serving, to do whatever possible. There was the promise that the prices of the farm produce will be looked at, and I pray that we fulfill that. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Member for Laikipia West. I know that you had great difficulty with your card yesterday, and in fact it did go missing, and we hope that you have recovered it now. Next, we have Member for Samburu North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank the great people of Samburu North for giving me the opportunity to represent them in this August House. I would also like to thank them for electing leaders who stood on the platform of peace during the just concluded elections. And I'd like to encourage them and to tell them that the path of peace will only come through dialogue. I would like to encourage them and tell them that I will stand on that path, and I would like to thank them for their support and their prayers, encouragement, and the belief that they have that peace is indeed possible in Samburu North. Madam Speaker, the people of northern Kenya are languishing in acute famine, the likes of which have not been seen in generations. It's a matter of life and death in the counties of northern Kenya. Samburu North, to be specific, as of last week, there were almost 40,000 households which are in dire need of food interventions. We all know that the famine in northern Kenya is cyclic. We know that next year there's going to be famine or hunger. The year after that, we know that it's going again to be there. It's a shame that we stand in the floor of this house and talk about acute hunger. And we hear that there have been papers and strategic plans, but pretty little implementation on the ground. I would like to laud the President in his speech that he delivered in this House a few days ago. And I would like to appreciate the food that he had given as a relief measure to northern Kenyan counties. I would like to thank him on behalf of the people of Samburu North, but I would like to tell him that the food was inadequate. I would like to also thank him because on his speech he alluded to value addition of livestock products. I would like to ask that the livestock offtake programs be quickly implemented, because as we lose livestock in this famine, that's a great loss. The government can offtake that livestock and supplement families. I would also like to speak about the perennial underdevelopment in northern Kenya. He spoke about such things as, the livestock offtake programs and so on, industrialization in the north. We would like him to, address the sessional papers which had legitimized the underdevelopment of some parts of this country, and not just in words, but in action. I would like to also put it on the floor of this House that there have been cases of children fainting in classes. There was a fatality in Samburu East 5 days ago. I would like the government to step in and really provide for the school feeding programs, because that has not been in existence since June this year. That's among the small things that I would like to contribute on the drought debate in the House. And I would like to thank the great people of Samburu North for giving me an opportunity to amplify their voice. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
A member for Taveta.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to make my first contribution in this House. I will try as much as possible to be very brief. First and foremost, Madam Speaker, let me take this exceptional opportunity to thank my family and the great people of Taveta for the exceptional privilege they have bestowed on me to serve them as their Member of Parliament. Madam Speaker, I have followed the proceedings of this House very keenly for the last 5 days, and I prayed so much to get this opportunity to speak. I am pleased to note that this is a huge privilege, and as Senator McCain had said, I can confidently say this is a service to a cause better than my self-interest. Madam Speaker, my standing here means that the Chamber has said goodbye to one of its finest women parliamentarians, my predecessor, Dr. Naomi Shaban. Dr. Naomi has enjoyed a distinguished political career for 20 years and has mentored many young women in Kenya, and I respect her for that. I pray that I will fit in her shoes, and even more important, I pray that God will open for her new doors. Madam Speaker, my being here is God. And I want to take this rare opportunity also to thank God for giving me this opportunity to serve in this august House. With respect to Taveta constituency, Madam Speaker, I have taken leadership at a time when there is a lot of challenges. And I know many constituencies, many of my constituents who are watching me right now, one of the issues that is of concern to them is the issue of infrastructure, and especially the Taveta Illicity Road, which I always say the road is so worse than the road to hell. Madam Speaker, on the issue that is before you today, the issue of drought, I want to address two issues. One, I appreciate the intervention that has been made by the government of Kenya to distribute food to 3 million Kenyans. But I dare say that it is not enough. Key concern, Madam Speaker, are our children in school, and we plead. The President say we save 3 billion, and I plead to him that the 300 billion that we are saving from the ministries that he has indicated should actually be applied to supply should be supplied to ensure we have free secondary education, and at the same time we have food for our children in school. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I wish to indicate to the House that a greater population also suffer from drought. These are pastoralists. Food is not enough. They have livestock to take care of. And this House in the year 2013, Madam Speaker, passed the Kenya Wildlife Conservation and Management Act. This is Act number 47 of 2013. Specific interest, Madam Speaker, is at section 102 of that act, which says that we should have guidelines. The Cabinet Secretary and the Kenya Wildlife Services should create guidelines to ensure that our grazers access national parks for purposes of grazing and watering of livestock in terms of drought and national disaster. My plea today, Madam Speaker, is the implementation of section 102.
Member, I can give you a minute to finish your sentence.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was saying that even if you were to go to the national parks today, Madam Speaker, you will find animals grazing there. The only problem is that they graze at a fee, which is an illegal fee. And what we are saying, because we all agree that drought is now a national disaster, let us allow our grazers to access the national parks in accordance with section 102 of the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act. With those few and many remarks, Madam Speaker, I thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I had to give you an extra time because my hat's off to you if you fell our matriarch of women politics in Kenya. I now call upon Member for Ganze.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also take this opportunity to thank the people of Ganze, the people from the 4 wards of Ganze, that is Bamba, Jaribuni, Sokoke, and Ganze, for overwhelmingly electing me to represent them in this 13th Parliament. I also take this opportunity, like my colleagues, to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for getting elected to lead this House, and also the Speaker, Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula. Madam Speaker, I come from Ganze, which is a very dry constituency. It still faces a myriad of challenges many years after independence. The people of Ganze are still struggling with the necessities of life, such as bad housing, water shortages, poor road infrastructure, and poor education. Madam Speaker, almost 80% of Ganze is currently affected by the ravages of the ongoing drought and famine. Livestock farming, which is the economic mainstay, has severely been hampered as all pastures have dried up. The few water ponds, which are shared by humans and wildlife, have also currently been invaded by elephants from the Tsavo East National Park. Madam Speaker, the President talked in paragraph 48 of his speech the fact that 3.5 million people are affected by famine in Kenya. This is the true position in Ganze right now. As we speak right now, it has not rained for the last 3 years in Ganze. The people there right now are surviving on a meal, 1 meal after 3 days. The situation is so bad and it calls for urgent and immediate government intervention. Madam Speaker, we saw the President launching relief supplies to the drought-stricken areas the other day. But I want to tell this House that these supplies are yet to reach Ganze. And I urge all those concerned to make sure that in the soonest time possible, these relief supplies get to reach the people of Ganze who are suffering so much. Madam Speaker, Ganze is blessed with the seasonal rivers, and when it rains, a lot of water drains to the ocean. If there's a way that this water can be preserved, it can go a long way in alleviating the water shortages that are facing Ganze right now. And it is against this backdrop that I asked the government to immediately start construction of the Rare Dam. This is a dam whose feasibility study was done a long time ago, and even a design was done. But I can say right now here today that this report is lying somewhere in the Ministry of Water, gathering dust, and nothing has been done on the ground. If this dam can be constructed, I know it can go a long way in making sure that there is enough water for use, both by human and livestock keepers in Ganze. The drought situation in Ganze has been compounded by the fact that there has been an invasion of elephants into the human settlements. So we are facing a serious human-wildlife conflict, which also needs immediate government intervention to help the situation. Because as it is right now, even if the rains come and the farmers get to their fields, nothing can grow because the elephants are all over and they will destroy the crops. So I also urge the government to come up with long-term solutions, including, if it will be possible, fencing off the Tsavo East to contain the animals into the reserve, and also now enable the farmers to do their farming without interruptions from the wild animals. There are many challenges that are facing Ganze right now. Poor education, which is compounded by the fact that the children are dropping off because they can't go.
Thank you, member for Ganze. Now call upon member for West Mugirango.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. May I take the earliest opportunity to congratulate you and Mr. Speaker on your deserved election as our Speaker and Deputy Speaker, respectively. I, in particular, celebrate you, Madam Speaker, on behalf of my class, that you had the honor to teach civil procedure during my second coming to the University of Nairobi. My name is Steve Mogaka. I am an accountant, a banker, and an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And those are the skills, Madam Speaker, the people of West Mugirango so fit to present to this House for use as part of the solution provision for the people of Kenya. And for that reason, I have the humble opportunity of thanking the people of West Mugirango for coming out in large numbers and voting me in overwhelmingly, and I promise I will not let them down. I am in fact a miracle MP because from the ward I hail from in West Mugirango, there has never been an MP except for 9 months only when the late George Justice Morara served and died in a road accident. And before that, my other ward member, Honorable Thomas Mongare, had also died within 1 year of election, and may God rest their spirits in eternal peace. Madam Speaker, as we support this motion of adjournment, the people of West Mugirango are mourning because they woke up to a brutal murder of a lady school principal of Rangenyo Secondary School. I am hoping that when Mr. Mutiambai and George Kinoti resigned or tendered their resignation, this is not what we are going to be treated to in the Republic of Kenya. Through this House, Madam Speaker, I am pleading to the investigating agencies to get down to the bottom of what killed Madam Lydia, who killed it, and let them be brought to book as soon as practicable. Talking of the droughts ravaging this country, Madam Speaker, indeed, this has been a cyclical, vicious circle in the Republic of Kenya every other season. I sympathize with our compatriots in the ASAL areas and request that this country gets a permanent solution to the drought problems in this republic. But as we speak of drought, the area I represent, West Mugrango, Madam Speaker, is within the convectional rain region of Lake Victoria. And as the sun burns the rest of Kenya, the convectional currents go amok, and the Gusii region is only ravaged every other day with hailstones and hailstorms which destroy crop, which destroy food, and never in this republic have I heard talk of possible compensation for victims of hailstones and hailstorms. My areas of Enchoro, Bosamaro, and parts of Bunyamatuta ward, the last 2 weeks suffered serious hailstorms. And coming with those hailstorms is actual hunger, because the food crops go, the cash crop being tea, being coffee, being pyrethrum, they also go. And I will be proposing an amendment to the Disaster Act of this country, that when we talk of a drought, the flip side of it is always hailstones and heavy rains which wash away soils and create floods to our neighbors in the Nyando region. Madam Speaker, as we join this 13th Parliament, and I celebrate the speech by His Excellency President William Ruto, particularly when he admitted that this country is broke. Broke, yes it is, but as a result of this brokenness, we
Member for Kajiado East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. We have been sitting here for the last week, and I was wondering whether my card was not working, but I'm very pleased to have got this opportunity. And I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for being appointed as Deputy Speaker for our House. I also congratulate our Speaker, Wetangula. I say congratulations. We look forward to supporting you and to delivering what we need to deliver to our Kenyans. I also like to take this opportunity to thank my people of Kajiado East constituency for electing me as the IMP to represent them and to bring development to them. I also like to thank my family for their unconditional support. And I also like to thank my friends in the diaspora community where I was living in the United States. Many of us wish to have the opportunity to be able to return to Kenya and help our countries in the ways that we can. And when I told them that I was going to vie for this seat, many of them expressed a great deal of support and encouragement, as they all also wish that they can find ways to help our country. Madam Speaker, I was very pleased to hear that strong emphasis of our presidents in food production. This country obviously is suffering. Many parts of our country are suffering due to lack of sufficient food supply. And I hope that with his policies and his focus on agriculture, that we will be able to do someday to supply enough food to our people. It's very sad to see that every year, generations after generations, we continue to face food shortage. And we continue to see a lot of our people are struggling due to lack of food. And I hope that with policies of this administration, with the food subsidies that he's giving to our populations, the fertilizers to our farmers. I hope that will all, at the end of the day, will yield good results for our communities. With the recent subsidies that was given for fertilizer, although it is very good to see that, I also wish to see subsidies be given for for feeds, for animal feeds, so that our pastoral communities can also afford to buy feeds for their livestock and grass. So I hope that moving forward, and considering the dire situation of drought in the country, that our government will be able to come up with also subsidies for animal feeds so that our communities can feed their livestock. In terms of drought situation, my constituents, like many other who spoke before me, are struggling right now. There isn't enough grass. Last weekend, I went to my home. I found 6 cows are actually being helped because they can't stand anymore because they don't have grass. Our people are struggling to feed their families, struggling to feed their livestock, and you can see a dire situation happening. Children are struggling in schools, and I hope that in this house, with our government, with the new administration, we can work collectively to find measures and find ways to be able to help our people so that they can come out of poverty. I also realize, and many folks from the pastoral communities, that livestock farming is becoming very difficult in these arid lands. It is my hope that our government, together with our National Assembly here, will be able to come up with ways for how to mitigate with the drought. Because having our people depending on relief food every year is not sustainable right now. I also wished to have seen the President talking about environmental conservation and habitat conservation, because we need to restore our environments, grow more trees, and find ways we can cope with the climate. With that few remarks, because I see my time is up, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we look forward for days again to find ways to.
Member for Keyo North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. This being my first day today to speak in this House, I want first to thank the Almighty God for giving me this opportunity, and also to thank the people of Keyo North constituency for sending me to this House to represent them. People from Kapchemuto Ward, Mutei, people from Sergoit, across the constituency. I want to tell them that I'm here as their voice. Madam Speaker, I wish also to assure my people that I will represent them diligently and working with all state agencies and ensure that electricity supply goes to all parts of our constituency. Madam Speaker, we have projects in my constituency like Amarin Stadium, which has not been completed because of challenges here and there during the last regime. But under this government, I'm sure that we are going to complete it. Madam Speaker, I don't want to forget my mentor, the Honorable Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, whom I worked under him for 10 years as his personal assistant. I want to tell him thank you very much, wherever he is, for mentoring me to this level that I represent the people of my constituency. To conclude on that is to thank my family and my campaign team, and in a special way, my father, Mr. Yusuf Kaitany, who unsuccessfully ran 3 times to represent this, our people. But now I thank God that he is alive and he's seeing me here representing the people that he would wish he wanted to represent. I say thank you. Madam Speaker, on this motion, I want to say that drought has really affected many people, especially in many parts of our country, especially in Kerio Valley. And Madam Speaker, first we need to look at the effects of this drought. Children are no longer going to school because they are concentrating to look for something to eat. Education has also gone down because of that thing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have seen deaths, both in human and livestock, Madam Speaker. And people are suffering. They are suffering both by losing their loved ones and at the same time, livestock, Madam Speaker. So this issue is very dire, and we know that serious intervention needs to be put in place. The same drought has even caused insecurity, Madam Speaker. All the fights that is happening in Kerio Valley and even many other parts in the horn of Kenya is as a result of drought. People who don't have anything to eat are now resulting in doing things which are inhuman, and that's why I'm saying measures should be put in place. For us to see a transformative country in terms of food security, I think we need to concentrate not only on rain-fed farming, but we should also move from there to irrigation, Madam Speaker. Like in my constituency, we have Kimwarer Dam, Aroran Kimwarer, which we are sure that if it could have been constructed, we would have a much supply of food, which will eventually assist our people to increase food production. Madam Speaker, I know, and I'm sure that many members in this House are also getting a lot of grievances from members of their constituency, whom are asking for maybe support in terms of food and many other supports. Madam Speaker, going forward, I wish this House will consider putting some good budget so that our farmers can be motivated to increase production. Because if a farmer can get good money at the end of selling his or her produce, that will motivate them to increase production, and in the long run, we will not be facing challenges like what you are facing today. Madam Speaker, I am so happy, I am excited, and I don't want to spend my time. I am happy because at least my people have heard me speak for the first time. Thank you very much.
Member for Dadaab, and thereafter we'll have member for Makueni. I know that you've been having challenges with your card, so I think you better have someone help you with it because you're going next. Thank you. Member for Dadaab.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for having allowed me to contribute on this motion. I also join my other colleagues who have congratulated you and the Speaker of the 13th Parliament, the Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula, for having been elected as deputy, as Speaker and Deputy. Madam Speaker, I stand in this place, the same place where I stood about 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, when we had exactly the same problems that we have now. For the longest, the people from the arid and semi-arid areas of this country have been subjected and have been at the mercy of the vagaries of weather. The government at independence started off on the wrong note, because we had what was called then the sessional paper number 10 of 1965, whose gist was what they called intensification of the investment of the government and country in the high potential areas, and absolutely no mention of the low potential areas. The gist of that sessional paper was that the government ended up spending on investing nothing in those areas to try and promote the kind of agriculture or the mainstay of the lives of those people. Madam Speaker, we are going through the same cycle 30 plus years, 60 years, almost 60 years, 1965, and today is 58 years. Madam Speaker, I have personally had the pleasure of trying to deal with the issue of drought in my own ways when I was in the 10th Parliament and got the best results that anybody would ever get those days. What happens, for those who are not from the pastoral backgrounds, I'll tell you, the problem with this kind of weather is that there are limited number of water points. Because of the limited number of water points, the livestock will congregate in that place and will eat all the pasture. So the area itself becomes totally degraded and does not have any pasture. But because there is no water where the pasture is, and there's no pasture where the water is, the animal have got to go like 3 days or 2 days to go and look for pasture. For such animals like cows, or cattle for that matter, they can only stay about 3 days without water, Madam Speaker. They have to then foot back or trek back to where the water was. They die on the way. That's why you see the kind of stuff you see right now. They die on the way. In the drought of 2010-2011, I engaged 59 water boozers myself in my own constituency, using both the emergency component in the CDF as well as some other very good, powerful donors that came on board, which included those days the Millennium Villages program, which was partly in my constituency. Madam Speaker, not only were we able to save the livestock or the livestock in its entirety, but they were so strong that we could sell them in the market and fetch very good prices for them, because we were taking water to where the pasture is and the animals stayed where the pasture is. It is not rocket science for the government to adapt such strategies to try and protect the livestock, because everybody eats meat. We had lunch today and there's meat. There's mutton, there's goat meat, there's cow meat, there's camel meat, which is extremely delicious. But why is it that we have never had a government that seriously undertakes to make sure that these people or this sector of the economy itself is protected the same way the tea is protected, the coffee is protected, and all other agricultural areas, agricultural crops are protected?
You may have 1 minute to finish your sentence.
I don't know how. Okay, there you go. I thank you for your 1 minute. Being a former speaker myself, who has been out of this parliament for the last 10 days for one reason or the other, I took a little bit longer, and there was a lot of. But the idea is, for God's sake, let's get for once a government that cares about these people and this sector of the economy itself. For once. The ideas and the strategies are in abundance. You go to Namibia, they have got the biggest ranches there. They have got what you call the best beef there. They export to the European market. They don't have land as good as ours. Theirs is even much more arid than ours. But because of the intervention of the government, because of the fact that there is water everywhere and there is the growing of the grass itself, they are able to benefit from that. Botswana, the same thing. And a number of other countries, the same thing. But we need to we tried to do something in Galana, all out of corruption. The whole money went.
Thank you. Member for Makueni, and then after that, I'd kindly help member from Kajiado South. He's keeps going off.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this time. This is my first time to speak in this parliament. I sincerely feel very honored. I'm very grateful to God, first, for giving me this opportunity to be in this parliament, because I think sometimes it takes the grace of God to go through a political process. Secondly, I wish to thank the great people of Makueni constituency for electing me as the first woman member of parliament. And I want to assure them that I will be their representative, and I will do what it takes to make a difference in their lives and in their households. I felt very greatly honored by the confidence they demonstrated in me. We've had 9 men since the whole issue of election started in Makueni constituency, and I am the first woman to be elected. So I really feel very privileged, and the women in Makueni feel your voice has reached the national level, and I can assure you that even your voice will actually be heard. Makueni constituency is one of the biggest constituencies in this country, with a population of 194,000 people. It goes far beyond the national figure of 70,000. And I pray in this house, when the process comes for delineation of constituencies, we will be considered, because I think fair representation is part of reflection of equity. Makueni constituency is one of the semi-arid constituencies we have in this country. And like the motion of today suggests, it faces quite a number of challenges related to drought. Some of the major challenges, of course, is the inadequate water, which of course is as a result of unreliable rainfall. And I'm happy to report that we are very happy as a constituency, because the national government has invested one of the biggest dams in our constituency, Thwake Dam. The only challenge we have with this is now it has taken 6 years. Every time the budget goes down and it has to be reallocated and all that. And I feel if this project was taken with the seriousness that it deserves, my people will not be facing the kind of challenges they are facing today. As the motion implies, if you go to Makueni now, we have a school dropout of around 30%. The children cannot go to school. They are too ugly to go to school. The mothers, if you look at them, you don't need to be a scientist to know that they are emancipated because of the kind of strain they are actually going through. And I think if the government concentrated on such projects like the Thwake Dam and they were fast-tracked to deliver the desired results, I think will make a lot of difference in this particular country. The other major challenge we have in this constituency is poor infrastructure, and especially electricity and road network. All these years in my constituency, I have less than 40 kilometers of tarmac road. And that's why when the president talked of the fact that in his opening speech, we want to dislaunch ethnicity, I was very happy. Because to me, dislaunching ethnicity is not a word for campaign. I think dislaunching ethnicity means we develop this country holistically. When we share resources equally, when we share projects as per the need, then I think that is dislaunching ethnicity. But if dislaunching ethnicity is only a word to be used during campaigns and during elections, Madam Speaker, I think we'll be far in addressing some of the emerging needs in this constituency of ours. The other problem that I think is a major challenge, or I don't think, but it's a major challenge, and it's as a result of the water issue, food insecurity. And of course, that leads to low incomes. So you see, if we solve that one problem of water by the national...
Okay, let her finish the sentence.
I really support this motion because the issue of drought is finishing our people, and we cannot sit here and just not consider it. And let's look at our country is as strong as the weakest link. If people die in Makueni, there is no way those with food will feel proud of this particular country. Thank you, and I'm happy to be in this house.
Thank you, Member for Makueni. I now call upon Member for Kajiado South. Member for Kajiado. What?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I congratulate you and Mr. Speaker for getting an opportunity and being elected to serve the 13th Parliament as our leaders. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people of Kajiado South, my family, for trusting on me and electing me to represent them in this House, the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, Kajiado South has its own uniqueness. We are in the agricultural slope of Kilimanjaro, Mount Kilimanjaro. We also neighbor or we host Amboseli Game Reserve and Savo National Park. Kajiado South, we do face several number of challenges, and I want to say a few because of time. Like many other young people in the Republic of Kenya, Kajiado South, that is Loitoktok, our youth are facing unemployment, and thank to the President for the initiative of lifting the blacklisting of CRB, and also seeing on the proposal that he has on the Hustler Fund to take care of our women and our youth who are unemployed. Madam Speaker, we face a lot of challenges in the education system. We do have an education system in our place that is not functioning. That is, you can find out we don't have the required number of teachers, and even the issue to do the electricity and water, making our education become a problem at the rural area. Madam Speaker, I also support and put the same prayer that Kajiado South, we also have a problem on road networks. We don't really have a road. The main road that is supposed to serve us between Kajiado County and Taita Taveta County, it is a illicit Taveta Road. That road has a lot of benefits, economic benefits to our country.
Wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, waziri wetu wa elimu, gavana wa Nairobi, mheshimiwa rafiki wetu Meja Dong, na wale viongozi wote wamefika, walimu, wazazi na watoto, hamjambo. God is good. And all the time. Mundusalimie kwa hewa. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Bwana Yesu asifiwe tena. Komaro kumpo. Mumeona rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya? Anaitwa nani? Ndiye huyu wako hapa? Mmehakikisha ni yeye? Naona kama si yeye. Naona kama si yeye. Ni wangapi wanasema ni yeye rais wa Jamhuri ya 5 yake? Asanteni sana. Rais wetu Mheshimiwa William Ruto, tunakushukuru kwa kupata nafasi. Tulikuwa na wewe hapa miaka 3 iliyopita tukianza huu mradi, na umepata nafasi kuja kufungua rasmi. Ningetaka kuchukua nafasi hii kumpongeza mjumbe wa hapa, rafiki wetu Meja Dong, kwa kazi nzuri. Na ningetaka pia kuwashukuru walimu. Tumekuwa pale kwa darasa, tumepitia na tunaona watoto ni wasafi na wanaelewa mambo mingi. Asanteni sana. Your Excellency, your commitment for the improvement of education in this country is on record. Today, Your Excellency, after you appointed the Presidential Working Party for Educational Reforms, tumezidua hiyo kamati, na tungetaka kuwauliza Wakenya watoe maoni ndio tufanye marekebisho pahali inatakikana kwa mfumo wa CBC. Tungetaka kuuliza watu watoe maoni. Your Excellency, nituchukue nafasi hii kuwashukuru wakaaji wa Embakasi Central kwa kukubali wito wetu wa kumchagua William Samoei Ruto kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Kwa niaba ya timu yetu ya Kenya Kwanza nasema asante sana. Pia ningetaka nichukue nafasi hii tuwashukuru sana kwa kusikia mwito wetu kumchagua Johnson Sakaja kama gavana wa Nairobi County. Asanteni sana. Pia ningetaka nimueleze huyu mjumbe wenu ni rafiki wa rais, ni rafiki wangu na ni mchapakazi. Asanteni sana kwa kumpatia nafasi aendelee na kazi. Tumeshukuru sana. Ya mwisho, gavana, umelalamika mambo ya ubomoaji. Ningetaka kuhakikishia wewe kwamba rais tayari ametoa agizo kwetu ya kwamba kuanzia hakuna ubomoaji utafanyiwa usiku wakati ya giza, kwa sababu mambo ya giza ni mambo ya shetani, si ndio? Na kama kitu ni halali, kwa nini inafanyiwa usiku? Tungetaka kumwambia officers wetu wa polisi na utawala, rais ametoa agizo ya kwamba kama iko court order ya ubomoaji ifike katika kamati ya usalama ya sub county, ijadilianwe polepole, kujulikane kama lazima watu waondoke, wanaondoka wanaenda wapi. Number 2, hakuna watu watatolewa makao na njia ya kinyama na ya kikatili ambayo imekuwa ikifanyika hapo mbeleni. So we want to say that the Ruto administration has zero tolerance on brutal demolition and evictions, and it will not happen when he is President of the Republic of Kenya. And where there is a court order, before police provide security for eviction or demolition, that order must be deliberated by the sub-county security and intelligence committee to interrogate those people who are being told to move where they shall go. And if eviction must take place, it must take place during the day in a human and an acceptable manner. Kwa sababu hiyo maneno ya usiku, hiyo ni mambo ambayo serikali ya William Ruto hawezi kubali. Watoto mko sawa? Vile nimefika hapa ningetaka kutetea nyinyi kwa rais wetu. Nimtetee? Mnapenda soda? Mnapenda soda? Mnapenda soda gani? Ati Fanta? Wangapi wanapenda Fanta? Wangapi napenda Coca-Cola? Wangapi napenda Sprite? Wangapi wanapenda soda ota? Wangapi napenda bitter lemon? Kwani mnapenda soda zote? Lakini mwalimu ametuambia hampendi mkate. Oh, mnapenda mkate na soda? Nimutetee nyinyi kwa mkubwa wetu wamnunulie mkate na soda? Your Excellency. Asanteni sana. Tumefurahi sana. Andu nyumba itu mwe goko. Mwekuo. Nyumba itu. Mwe goko. Jamba neno. Eno eta Ruto. Nenyu muramethurire. Na kwenda kwanyu. Mutakorigererio. Nimukumihoera Ngai ameteithie. Ithondeke bururi witu. Andu a nyumba itu ndimucokerie ngatho. Nigitio kiria muraheithirie andu a nyumba itu. Ate ithuĩ tutiri andu a maheni. Tutiri andu a kuhuthira nduru. Turi a Kristiano. Twaragia ndeto cia ma. Na tungira mundu ni tugakunengera kindu ni tukamunengera. Niguo andu a nyumba itu. Ni muronire ria atwikire. Ni muronire ma minister. Kuma Embu. Kuma Meru. Kuma Kirinyaga. Kuma Murang'a. Kuma Kiambu. Kuma Nyandarua. Ni muronire njamba ino ni ama. Ithe ndatwireire. Thirikari ĩno nĩ itũ kati itũ. Nĩ itũ kati itũ. Nĩ mũkũnyitĩrĩra njamba ĩno. Nĩ mũkũrũgama nayo. Nĩ mũgũthiĩ na mbere na kũmĩhoera. Andũ aigana marauga tũrũgame na njamba ĩno itũ tũrũgame na njamba ĩno. Sasa ningetaka nichukue nafasi hii kwa heshima kubwa nimwalike Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto.
Haya, asanteni sana. Tafadhali tuketi chini. Asanteni sana. Asanteni. Thank you. Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais, mawaziri mlio hapa, maseneta wa bunge, MCAs, kamati ya shule hii, wananchi wa hapa Komarok, Kayole, watu wa Embakasi Central, hamjambo. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. God is good. And all the time. Asanteni sana. Kwanza, mimi nataka nichukue nafasi hii